Welcome to the Heal Deal Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leona Allen, and I'm here to help you achieve more freedom in your health and your life. I'm the founder of Freedom Health Systems, and I've been a licensed chiropractor and wellness coach for over 2 decades. I've helped men, women, and children transform their lives by removing the physical, chemical, and emotional barriers to natural healing. Every week, I'll be taking you on a journey where you will discover the real truth behind what it takes to heal your mind, body, and soul. Allow me to be your guide as you travel this road to renewed health and a new life. It's time to make a deal with yourself to heal yourself. Please keep in mind that this podcast is for educational purposes only and not to be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis or treatment. With that said, let's begin. All right. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Heal Deal Podcast. And what makes it amazing is not only you, my listeners, but also my guests. And I'm very excited about this one today because we're going to talk about a topic that is usually under the radar when it comes to health and wellness, and that is self-esteem. Because think about it, when you believe in yourself and believe in your potential, you're able to make those decisions that's going to guide you and direct you into the health and the wellness that you desire. So, as usual, I'm going to bring in a topic that'll help you achieve more freedom in your health and your life. And my amazing guest is going to help us as well because she is the expert in self esteem. We're going to talk about redefining self esteem and what we can do to really make it work for us. And it's not just a word and not just a cute saying. We need to really understand what that is and what we can do with it to empower us. So I want to welcome Dr. Simone Alicia Ph.D. Amazing. We kind of chat in the backstage and I like her already. This is our first time meeting and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Dr. Simone, go ahead and tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. And what a delight to already have gotten to know you for a few minutes backstage and to be here to talk to everybody. I am known as the Self-Esteem Doctor, as you mentioned. And every word that came out of your mouth, I was just hanging on because, yes, this is such an amazing way for us to find and liberate our health and our mental and emotional well-being and all these different levels and layers beyond just the word, okay, self-esteem. And then we just kind of toss it and move away. I love where we're going to take this conversation today and help everyone to reframe this idea of self-esteem and turn it into something real that we're using to see real changes in our lives. I am so excited.
Yes, I'm excited to have you here. But before we go deep into what self-esteem, I want to know your story. Like, what got you to becoming the self-esteem doctor? Because I know when people get to things where our health journeys and just lead us to where we want to do to help, what we want to do to help others. So I'm interested in hearing your amazing story and how you became the self-esteem doctor.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to start with the end and then back it up. So the end of
Okay.
the story is it came to me. I had just had my baby and probably it was maybe 4 days old, if that. And I had kind of been doing this work already, but I'd taken some classes. I'd been just evolving my knowledge. And I just literally sat up in the bed and I was like, the self-esteem doctor. And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, I'm the self-esteem doctor. Like, that's me. He's like, okay. And we were all kind of like, well, what's a self-esteem doctor? And we don't really know yet. I'm still developing her. I'm still evolving her. But that name just kind of popped into my mind. And I would say that that was the end of the story, but yet the beginning of the story at the same time. So the fast version, because I'll have y'all here all day with this story, so I'm going to speed through
We'll be here as long as it takes.
it.
Go
and,
ahead.
and I want you to take inspiration when you're hearing the story too, because you might find in your life, you feel like you're bouncing around and you don't know where it's leading you, but it's leading you somewhere if you will kind of tune into that wisdom and follow the steps. So I started teaching elementary school. And before that, in college, I was actually modeling. So, modeling into college, and then coming out of college, start teaching elementary school, and I'm still modeling. So, I'm kind of straddling these two worlds. And all of a sudden, these similarities started to pop up, Dr. Leona. Like, I was like, what is happening here? And so, in my classroom, I have 8-year olds asking me things like, am I fat? And I'm like, excuse me, what? And I'm between being upset and wanting to cry and wanting to scream and wanting to teach something but don't know what to teach just yet. And I just felt like that was kind of heartbreaking at that age. Then I go into the more adult, older world of modeling, and here I am backstage, 20-year olds, early 30s, even late teens, and I've got people backstage, oh, my finger, my face, my arm, I'm fat and this, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And I just kept this mantra started to evolve. I'm in the classroom. "Ah, someone's got to teach self-esteem." And then I'm in the backstage of the modeling on the runway shows. "Ah, someone's got to teach self-esteem." And then I remember one particular day that it kind of shifted everything. I came off the runway, just done a modeling show. And I learned a lot of lessons there too about power of the mind. So we'll probably get into that. Get off the stage, and there are a bunch of little kids, probably around the age of my classroom students. So it feels like the worlds have collided, because here I am modeling, and now here there's some kids that remind me of my classroom kids. And I walk by them and I hear them just, they are in awe, and they are just like, oh, I want to be like them. They're so perfect. They're so amazing. And I'm like, uh-uh. Someone needs to work on self-esteem, because you want to be like them and they don't want to be like them. And my classroom students think they're fat. What is going on? I was like, someone, and then it just like the light bulb went on, and I'm like, oh, that someone's me, isn't it? It's me. It's me. And so from there, I started to evolve. I taught a modeling school. So I took my teaching skills into the modeling world and taught at a modeling school. And there was something again evolving. I was never talking about how pretty you were. Although, if you listen to that story, it was a lot of physicality that brought up the self esteem topic. But when I got into that world of teaching modeling, I was not, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, I see, your outfits. I was more like, I can read your mind. You're scared. I can see what you're thinking. You're not feeling confident. You're not believing in yourself. Change what you're thinking. Go back and start again. And I was so in their heads about learning a runway walk. And I'm like, what is this? So something was evolving in me. And fast forward, I opened my own studio in Miami. I started to use the runway as the facilitator of self-esteem. I'm like, if people love the runway and they need to build confidence, let's blend it. Let's get them up there. Let's do body language and how you walk, and then work on the mindset and go. And I wasn't really that successful. I'll tell you all the truth. because Miss Dr. Leona, I was literally trying to help people to understand the self-esteem and confidence thing, and they're like, "There's a runway. Are we going to be famous?" I'm like, "No." Are you going to train us to walk the runway? I'm like, I sure can, but I'd like to do more. I'd like to get you to really believe in yourself while you do it. Nah, I don't want that. Anyway, the beautiful sign came when I had two separate students. I'll tell you a story about one. Her mom brought her in and said, my daughter skipped school one day, and she was sexually assaulted by 3 different boys. Her daughter walked, just about crawled in. She was a shell of her former self, apparently, and just was completely withdrawn. And the guilt of skipping school got to her. The guilt of what had happened got to her. The memory of what happened, she was trapped in her body. And the mom is like, can you help her? And I think I get it. Like, the one person who got what I was doing brought in a situation that to me was very advanced for what I felt I was ready for. So I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, you need to go to a therapist, like a psychologist, psychiatrist, somebody, not me. And she's like, we have that. I can bring you proof of that. I want to add this onto it. And I was like, okay, this sounds like another work of divine. It sounds like another path is opening. And I said, as long as you have real professional help, I will do this. And she said, yes. So I put her on the runway. And later on, turns out I was using elements of neuroscience. I was getting in her head and reframing the memories that her body was holding. I was shifting the way she was holding her body and the thoughts associated with it. We were getting into the way she was thinking, the way she was feeling. And that right there was just this massive bridge into the work that I would later do. And that was just my first massive success story that really incorporated the mind, the body, and the spirit or soul or self, however you'd like to refer to that. And it was massive. The mom came back to me in about 3 days and was like sobbing at my door. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I told you to send her to a therapist. Like, and she's like, no, you gave me my daughter back. I'm here to thank you. And we're just standing in my studio crying. And I knew that I had some type of a gift and this is the
Yeah.
direction I was supposed to go. Yeah.
That's what I was
That's
just about to say. You definitely have a gift. It's like you were born to do this, and it's so good that you discovered that and was able to walk into that because I'm listening to you and I'm jotting down notes and I'm thinking about my life and probably life of my listeners and things that they go through. I mean, I had a low self-esteem by the time I was 10 years old, and that really set me up for a lot of the things I went through in life. And, even though it's great for children, the earlier you understand this, the better. But sometimes 40, 50, and beyond are still dealing with the side effects of a low self esteem. And we're going to piece this all together and really help people grow from this because I know people need to hear this because you talked about the journey, but I want to go deep into, some core things that we need to do. And first, we got to know how to define it because a lot of us think, and you could probably elaborate on this, how people see self esteem, but they think, ooh, self esteem today, maybe not 10 years ago, but how many followers you have or how many likes you get. I guess in my generation, it was how many friends you had. If you're one of the popular kids, if you have the latest fashion, you're the athlete. So now looking back, a lot of people probably think self esteem is how people see you. And if people like you, even though you're pretending to be someone you're not, you got this mask on. As long as you got that mask on, you got good self-esteem. So, and then as we get older, it's that mask gets heavy, it starts to crack, it starts to fall off. And after a while, you can't hide behind that mask anymore. So I really want to help not only the young kids that are watching with their parents, but actually help the parents because they learn a lot of it from us. So first of all, let's go into how you think, if I missed anything, how people think self-esteem is, and then to go into what it really is. And then we can talk about some strategies on how we can improve our self esteem. So, Dr. Simone, what is the self esteem?
I love every word. I'm just here for this. I'm just okay, guys. Everyone, listen. If you want to grab notes or be ready to
Yeah,
read
get your pen and
this, you know what
paper.
I
Get
mean.
ready.
Get
I'm
ready,
I'm ready
because
because
I
I have
want
my
this.
moments. I'm not gonna lie. I do have my moments.
Oh,
Yeah.
we all do. We
Yeah.
all do. And there's a strength that hopefully by the time we're done talking, you'll be able to uncover and utilize consistently. So I'm going to back up to when you were mentioning very wisely about that age gap, right? We talk about little kids needing it, which is very true. And then we have to also acknowledge that adults need it. One of the things I would always hear as soon as I say self-esteem doctor, people are like, oh, the teen girls with, acne and, being curious about boys. I'm like, wait, what? Yes, but what? It's also the little boys and the little girls and the older women and the older men, the seniors, the executives, the wealthy, the not wealthy. Their self-esteem is something that runs the gamut. There is not a population of people specifically that are said to have particularly lower or higher self-esteem just for the sake of their age or where they are. Now, of course, when we look at the way people are defining self-esteem, we can understand why we can see trends. And the way that is, the incorrect way, I would have to say, is that we are calibrating self-esteem externally. We're using the external, the outside environment, the outside of us to determine how we think and how we feel about ourselves. We're looking at, like you said, does that person like me? And if they do or if they don't, okay, well, now that determines my self worth or how I feel about myself. And do I have that job that's giving me that money from the outside? Well, that determines my self worth. Did I get this grade, right? It's all of this external calibration. And before I go on, I want to say, sometimes when we want to fight knowledge or we want to fight expanding information that we're getting, we start to go to extremes. This is what I've learned when you're trying to kind of bring something new to someone. They're like, well, that means I'm never going to care what anyone ever says about. Okay, of course we're going to care. Everybody calm down. Okay. We're going to achieve this balance in what we're talking about, right? We do know that there are going to be times we care. I care if my mom, what my mom thinks of me, and I care what my children may think. So yes, we do care, right? We're talking about completely defining ourselves and our entire worthwhile existence on somebody else outside of us. And then even more so, people we don't know, people we don't particularly even care for, and we're just calibrating on everyone else's opinion but our own. So I'm really talking about that level of extreme, but not that we have to never care ever what anyone says. Our environment will certainly impact us. If I have a job that's not paying me enough, I might not feel so good because I got to pay bills, and then I'm not feeling so great when I can't pay the bills, and then it's taking a toll on me, and why am I struggling? And then yes, and then all the things follow. And this will all make sense when I give you my definition, which I've hinted at already a couple of times. But I just want you guys to understand that it is the big fallacy is that self-esteem is solely and entirely defined from the outside and how people are seeing us. And that is where we lose all of our power. So that
Right.
takes us to what it is.
Yeah. Can I
And
add to that? I want
oh
to
yeah,
add to
please,
that before
please.
you talk
Yes,
about what it is. Because
yes.
when I was going through my self-discovery, I realized I was like doing some research, and I realized like the first maybe 10 years of life, we go by how our parents define us. And then after that, we're in school and college, and we go by how our peers in school define us, in college, and our coworkers. And then we get to a point where it's like, well, we have to learn how we define ourselves.
Mm.
And some people get that sooner or later, but I was one of them late bloomers. I was over 40 when I was just like, wait a minute, who am I? But
So
that's
true.
what I realized.
That is so true. That is because you know what? We're actually not taught how to do it any other way. We're never even introduced to the concept of determining self esteem from the inside, or how we feel and think about ourselves from the inside. Because, from, like you said, from birth and school, everything was an external calibration. Your grades, okay, did you make mom proud? How did you perform on this test or that test? Or did you run fast in the sport? Did you win the trophy? Everything is just so externally focused, which later on, as I continue in my career, I started to also be able to say it's really on the external reality rather than that internal reality and internal environment. And so that's such a really good point. I'm glad you added that, because I've said that to people before. Parents will come to me, I'm coaching their children, and they'll say, well, why does she care so much about people think? I want her not to care. I go, well, do you ask her to care about her grades? Well, of course. Well, do you ask her to care about how she behaves in the class and what the teacher says about her? Well, of course. And I'm like, well, that's training. So we're now trained to respond to what people think about us. Did the teacher give me my A, or give me a B or a C or a D? Do they think I'm smart or think I'm dumb? Am I in the advanced class? Am I in the bad class? Am my teacher proud of me? Did he or she cheer me on? So it's a lot of training. And in that, I think we need to be deliberate about the counter training, which is, where does self esteem truly come from? What is it really, and how do we nurture it? And when we start training on that, yes, as young as childhood, but yes, at any time we need to in our life, up to 150, should you be so lucky to live that long, I want you to keep working on it and knowing what it is. So, are you ready for my big reveal,
Well,
doctor?
yeah, I'm ready. Got my, yeah.
All
What
right.
is it?
Some of you are gonna be like, you already said that, but just work with me, okay? And get excited anyway, and remind yourself about the intensity of this, because I'm gonna show you how important this is. I define self-esteem as the way that we are individually thinking and feeling about ourselves and our lives. And when you come to one of my events, I'm gonna get you to sing it, right? I'll be like, the way I think and feel about myself, the way, and I just have us jamming out, right? Because I want you to get that it's the way we think and the way we feel about ourselves. And I'm gonna give you a little preview here, at the risk of jumping a little too far too fast. I just want you guys to kind of get a little overall umbrella picture of how important this is. That's how I started off, probably about 2 decades ago, defining self esteem. And since then, getting a PhD in metaphysical science, since then, studying a little bit of quantum physics, looking into epigenetics, just letting myself explore all of the world of holistic everything. And you come to realize that thought and emotion are the building blocks of your health, the way that your RNA and your DNA are expressed, the way that you invite your body to step into healing or to be stuck in stress and fight or flight, the way you allow your body to open up and to rest and digest, and all these different states of either healing or stress-based dis-ease. All of this stuff that continues to unfold, and the new studies that are coming out, and all of these extended branches of science and even philosophy are, and even positive psychology, all of these things are starting to really become studied more, are turning right back and pointing to the fact that our thoughts and our emotions, our feelings, have a massive impact on our biology. So I only preview that so you all can listen from this point out. When you listen, that you're not listening with a cheerleading rah rah. Okay, she's gonna tell us something. It's gonna make us smile. Never feel self-esteem for the duration of this podcast, and then back to life as usual. No. Should you choose to get yourself really invested in this conversation that Dr. Leona has opened the door for us to have, you are in a position where you can literally change your physiology, which is the makeup of your body, change your biology. You can send new neurological signals in your brain and create new neural pathways. You can be literally rebuilding cells right now at a cellular level, DNA and RNA expression. All these things will be impacted by the direction of your thoughts and your feelings, your thoughts and your emotions. So that we're talking about self-esteem, the way we esteem and hold and view ourselves, the emotions we allow to circulate within our body, and the thoughts we allow to live in our minds. Now knowing that the ultimate expression of that is our very livelihood, health, well-being, and the actual reality that we're going to live in this world. It is huge. So I just want you to listen with that thinking cap on as we keep going. This is not a
Oh, I
cheerleading.
love that. You're
Yeah.
right up. Yeah, we're right up my alley because I'm like, I love it. It's like my word that came up, and I'm lining it with what I do is like self-esteem at a cellular level.
Yes.
The cellular level is
Yes.
so powerful.
Yes.
Oof.
Write
Yeah,
that
because
down,
even
y'all.
with, I mean, people want to lose weight and do these things, but I talk about it really does. I agree with you 100%. It starts with our thoughts, and then our actions come after that. So whatever your
Mm,
thoughts are, your actions will follow, and based on your actions, then you'll get the results.
mm,
So yeah, it can always
100%.
tie back into the cell. Oh my goodness. And just really renewing your mind, all that junk that we've been putting in our bodies for 10, 20 years, depending on who you are. For me, it was
Yes.
40.
Yep.
You really have to do a lot of renewal and healing. And like I said, it is, oh my gosh.
So
Oh my, this is
intentional.
good. I get it. I get it. I
We
get
gotta
it.
do it. And you know what? I'm gonna jump. I don't even mean to do this, but I have to jump on what you just said, because you are just putting light in my life right now. So when you mentioned, people want to lose weight, and y'all, please follow along. I know we're kind of like, we are just, our wings are out. We are just flying. We're just loving this, and I hope you guys are with us, because there's so many gems here for you. So when you mentioned losing weight and you tie it to self-esteem and you tie it to whatever it is, I want you to understand a little other element of it, because I think you guys can handle this. When we do have certain thoughts, there is a chemical that is released that matches that thought. It's a chemical signature. If you've ever heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks and teaches
Oh,
you
yeah.
this all the time. Yeah, that's my boo. Shout out to
Yep.
Joe.
Hey,
I'm gonna
Joe.
stop saying that. He's gonna be like, "Can you stop calling me your boo every time?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't want no problems, but I really adore your work." Anyway, so when you have a thought, there is a matching chemical that is released in your body. So you're having all these negative thoughts, these very depressing, right? Pushing down, these very oppressive, negative thoughts, and they are releasing chemicals that match that. They're chemicals that are slowing you down, making you tired, making you groggy, right? They're not the uplifting chemicals. They're stress hormones and stress chemicals. And so when you have a certain thought, it releases that. And that's what actually starts to impact your body. And you can feel that, because feelings, emotions are chemicals. So you can feel, when you feel bad, it's the flood of bad, negative, not good emotions, chemicals flowing through your body. And so I wanted to tie that to this experiment I heard about. I want to say it was Deepak Chopra, I think,
I think I
translated
know what
this
you're talking about.
story. The one with the
I
rabbit? Is that
think
the one?
so. Go ahead, I'm
Can
gonna
I
let
say
you go. There's so many, but which one are you talking about?
So I heard this one with the rabbit. So they gave these cholesterol pills, these pills that are meant to raise cholesterol because they're doing a study or whatnot in rabbits. So they went around and they had the, I guess, assistant. Forgive me about the details here, but they had somebody go around and administer these cholesterol-inducing pills to the rabbits. They go now to study and they see, okay, yes, all these rabbits have high cholesterol, which is expected because that's what the pill was meant to do, except this one little batch of rabbits. And they're like, well, what happened? So they started to investigate with the person who was responsible. Did you give them the pill? What happened? Why isn't their cholesterol raising? Turns out that this person who was giving that particular person who gave the rabbits the pills was petting and stroking the rabbit while administering the pill. So while this might not be on the thought part of things, this is definitely on the feeling part of things, because as the rabbit is there receiving this loving touch and this petting, and now that rabbit is releasing matching chemicals to that touch. Is feeling good, it's feeling happy, it's feeling comfortable, safe, and in that state releases chemicals that help them to metabolize, right, help your metabolism to
Another one of
process.
my favorite words.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh, it is it. Oh, we went on. I love this. I love this so much. So it helps your body to metabolize the cholesterol in a totally different way, so it didn't actually impact the system. I would just, for layman's terms, say that their body was able to flush it. The body was able to say, okay, let's just metabolize this, use it differently. We don't need it, and did not really internalize it and turn it into high cholesterol. And this concept, as simple as it is, applies to us too. Because when we say we want to lose weight, but we are literally surviving on stress hormones, our body is not in that relaxed state that the rabbit was in. That the fat that we ate or something unhealthy we ate doesn't just kind of come in and pass on through. It comes in and it sticks because we've got hormones that are saying, stick all of it. We're stressed. Don't let anything go. And we're not helping ourselves from a biological or cellular level. Like we said, self-esteem at the cellular level. Our thoughts are not matching what we say we want in our lives. Our thoughts are not supporting health, are not demonstrating, as Dr. Leona said earlier, supporting love. If you love yourself, there's certain things you're going to do, not do. When you love someone, there's an action that goes with that. And that someone you should be loving is yourself. And the number one way we need to start is by thinking about ourselves in loving ways, maintaining loving thoughts in our minds, positive, uplifting thoughts, and they must be tied to uplifting emotions. So this is where we cannot fake it. So we talked about strategy. You cannot go in when people say affirmations, right? There's like a love and hate with affirmations. I'll tell you the very clear line. You cannot sit with an elevated emotion of negativity, stress pumping through your cells. Your body's in fight or flight, adrenaline's pumping out of your kidneys. Your body thinks you're running from a mountain lion for the past 18 years straight. And then you just say, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so relaxed. I'm so relaxed. I'm so
Yeah.
perfect. I'm rich. I'm rich. Okay. Your body is like, I don't know what's going on up there in your brain, but we got chemicals down here so you can run for your life. Okay. So
Yeah.
there's no, these affirmations are not affirming. It's just kind of confusion. And your body's like, tell me when you're done with all that noise up there. Cause obviously you need to survive something because you still got chemicals flooded down here. So I don't hear what you're saying. All that is up there. Please stop. So we're talking about affirmation. We're talking about the thoughts and the emotions. We're talking about the thoughts and the feeling. We're talking about getting yourself into a feeling state that really mimics love, which is going to be a little bit more relaxed. It's going to be open. You're going to feel your heart open. You're going to feel like you're flowing, like you can be. And that's not 24/7, but neither should stress. Right? You tell people you can relax, you can be happy, and they're like, well, you can't be like that all the time, right? Because again, they're fighting new information, they're fighting the potential for progress, they're fighting what they are afraid they may not be able to attain. So, no, I can't just be relaxed and airy fairy all day long. It's like, but you can be stressed all day long. You can 24/7 hold your body in a state of absolute dis-ease. And if you put that faster, guys, are you listening? Dis-ease, 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 disease, 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 disease. That's disease. That's where it starts. So you can keep yourself there for 24 hours, 7 days a week, and tell me that that's totally justified because, quote unquote, life is hard. But when I'm telling you that there is power in reaching for the other direction, you're like, well, that's not realistic. We've got to find balance, y'all. We've got to find balance and we will find peace.
Because we don't see and hear about the power of the mind at all. We don't. And one thing about stress, let's go back because stress was my middle name back in the day.
Oof.
But what people need to understand, this was liberating for me.
Mm.
Stress is okay. It's a normal part of the process. It's
Yes.
supposed to be short term to get you
Yes.
out of danger. But
Yes.
what we're dealing with is those chronic stresses, and stress isn't, oh, I got to pick up the kids. It's not just that stress. It's also
Right.
that emotional stress. People worry a lot about things that have already passed. We need to learn from that. And then they're worried about things that haven't happened yet. So that is a huge stress. Well, what if? Well, how do you know you haven't even taken that step yet? And another thing about stress, like anger and fear and worry, I find that people get addicted to that feeling. It's like
A
you take,
hundred.
yeah, they want to be angry. And if they don't have anything to make them angry, they will subconsciously or consciously look for something that'll make them angry. They need their fix. And
I
people
got
don't
some for you.
realize that. Yeah,
I got
it's
something for you. Let me
crazy.
this chemical, we talked about the chemicals, right? And we
Mhm,
kind of judge people if they're on drugs because the drugs came from the external environment. Like, oh, you're a drug addict, because you took something externally. Well, newsflash, those of us who are living and surviving on the hormones of stress, like you said, the chronic kind, we need a little stress. We need to like get that homework in on time. We gotta we're gonna,
mhm,
and respond accordingly to certain situations. But the 24/7 business, that chronic is not where it is. But when we do get to that stage, our body does get chemically addicted. Just like the drug addict would mean, we may look at it and judge and say whatever we want to say. We're in the same exact boat, except we've created that pharmacy of chemicals from inside with thought. We've created that drug that we're on. And what happens? Your body
mhm.
gets addicted to it. Your body
Yep.
says, it's 8 a.m. We're getting in the car. We're going to cuss somebody out today. Yes. And you get a rush of chemicals. Next day, 8 o'clock. Well, ding, ding. Time to cuss somebody out. Your body is calling you. Where's that hype? Come on. It's 8 a.m. Give me that little shot of adrenaline. Give me that shot of cortisol. Come on. Now it's a day off. It's out of some day off and you're sitting home. It's 8 o'clock. Your body's like, hello, where's my shot? I want my cortisol. I want my adrenaline. What's going on? And you're like, no, I'm home. I'm home. I don't have work today. Yeah, but I need it. And all of a sudden, you're just like looking around and you're just like, come over, you, come clean your room. And you, what are you doing? And then you get on the phone and as a matter of fact, and you're searching internet and you're cursing somebody out on social media. Like, what just happened?
Yeah,
Your
the
body,
withdrawals.
you were, thank you. Thank you. That's literally what's happening. Your body is like, give me this chemical. I am used to it. So now when you hear someone like me and I say, hey, you don't have to stay in this space. Those of you who heard me say that and you were like, whatever, just because you don't understand my life, this lady gonna talk about be happy, self-esteem. She don't know my life. That's your body saying, girl, don't let her take away my stress. Don't let her take it from us. Don't listen.
So true. So
That's
true.
happening to you.
We're
Okay.
freeing somebody today. I don't know who it is, but somebody's free today.
Be free, my friend. You're gonna be you're gonna be the director of your body, and you're gonna tell your
Yeah,
body, I hear you, I feel you, I want to go off too, but today I want to be in control of you.
yeah.
Today I want to give you something different. Today I want to liberate you and let you get quote unquote addicted to another chemical, the chemicals of joy, the chemicals of happiness, the chemicals of positivity and hope, and even bigger than hope, knowing and certainty and
Mhm.
confidence, and bigger than all of that, love and
Yeah,
gratitude. And it's
yeah.
a little journey sometimes, and sometimes it's not. Everybody has a story. People quit smoking. Some people are like, I did it overnight. Some people are like, it took me 37 years. I mean, everyone, just not, don't lock yourself in a box here, but just start the journey
As
because your
long as it
body is calling
takes.
for something else. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And with NLP, which is what I do, neuro linguistic programming, we find the results are very fast. We don't subscribe to the, okay, we're going to be here, over the next 10 years working on something. I'm like, let me tell you something. Let's make 4 appointments, and if we don't see progress, then we're doing something wrong, because we're here to retrain the brain and ask these neurons to go in different directions, and they're supposed to be responsive to that. So we're looking for a pretty quick, not rushed, not hasty, not like unrealistic, but just very much life is happening and we want to get you back in the game in a really positive way. So don't put a parameter around yourself and tell yourself has to be this long, right? Just even to your point earlier, we're always trying to play psychic with like, I'm worried about this in the future. So wait a second. It's funny, you'll talk to people who are like, I don't believe in psychics, you can't know the future, yet they're literally paranoid and freaking out about the future. I'm like, so if you don't believe you can know the future, then what are you scared about? Like, because you can't, hmm? What are we doing? So, just really being present is another great way to do that. But man, y'all, there's so much power in this. I just want to talk to y'all for the next like 3 hours.
I mean, we could do it easily, but it's like I know when we're in that journey because some people ask, "How long is it going to take me to lose weight and do this?" But a lot of the weight, there's such a huge emotional component to weight. Period. I mean, they could eat the best diet, take all these supplements, and that was my story. Do all these things and still gain weight. And then
If
when
your
I
mind's
started to
not,
understand the mind
yep,
and emotions
yep,
and that's when
yep.
and that's the kind of approach I take. It's so important. And I'm glad you
Mm,
brought that up. And then talk about timing. It all depends. It's
yep.
like some people, like someone, oh, where do I start? It really depends because some of this stuff is generational. I don't know if you're going to get into that, but sometimes it's like generational stuff we might have to deal with, but we just have to start. And depending on who you are and what training you've had up to this point is going to determine how quickly or how slowly it'll take. But either way, we have to appreciate that.
I love that. I love what you're saying, and it opens the door for me to add a very specific element of my work in particular. So let me preface it by saying this. I am not a one size fits all type of person just by nature. I do believe this is a big infinite universe and a big beautiful world, and if things are infinite, then there cannot be just one way. That just by the definition of the word infinite, that makes no sense, right? So I'm going to offer you perspectives that come from my field of study. And I have full recognition that there are potentially opposing fields of study that have their own data that says their own thing, and it also works for people because we're all so different. So the same way, peanut butter, god forbid, could send someone into anaphylactic shock, and then peanut butter could be what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're having two separate experiences with the same thing. It's the same kind of concept. I want us to open your mind to when I share what I'm going to share. So in the work that I do, we are so committed to the forward movement and the forward potentiality of humans and our beings, and that there's spiritual element to basically that bigger thing that courses between inside of each human. I don't take it to a very religious place, so people call it God, higher self, source, infinite intelligence, all of the above. Yes, yes, and yes. But the focus here is that when we allow ourselves to resonate more with that energy that's within, that energy of love, that energy of pure power, non-competitive, non-comparing, just love, and think the way it would think in righteous, positive, powerful, productive thoughts, feel the energy of love. When we connect to that, which if you go deeper into this work, you'll see is something you can actually measure. It's vibration, it's frequency. It can actually be measured on different medical machines and scientific machines. So we're not talking about hocus pocus. We're talking about measurable frequencies from the human body and connecting to it. Once you recognize that you can make a connection to that. And when you make a connection to that and set an intention in a certain direction and your emotion in a certain direction, that's how you make your ultimate connection to your highest and best potential in each moment. When we're doing that, there is actually no room, and just in my field of study, there's no room for turning back and digging up everything from 17,000 years ago generationally. Now, this does not mean it hasn't worked for people. This does not mean it should be thrown out as a science or as a methodology. Again, we're at different stages. So I need to hear about generational stuff because I'm not going to listen when you tell me divine stuff because I want to hear generational stuff. That means I have a belief system and I won't be able to achieve greater than my belief system. So if my belief says I need to dig this up to be free, that's a belief and that's how my body's going to respond. So I got to go dig. But as long as your belief system is more in the direction of, listen, I need forward. I want divine. I want connection. I want to be my best self, my highest self. I am floating away from whatever all that was. And I'm rewiring my brain. My brain was wired to worry about this. And yes, some of that comes through DNA. I was wired from DNA. I was wired from RNA. I was wired from my upbringing. But in every single case, I have control over the shift in expression according to epigenetics. Those thoughts that I'm maintaining and the emotions I'm maintaining are creating this opportunity for me to lock and unlock gene expressions. Like I have all the options. I have the option to be miserable, happy, skinny, fat, blah, blah, blah. And based on my thoughts and my emotions, I'm unlocking and selecting these genes going forward. So in my line of work, where I've combined elements of neuroscience, neurolinguistic programming, metaphysical science, and just peeked into epigenetics and quantum physics, the work of Joe Dispenza and all the scientists, I understand very clearly, even more than ever, which I always understood, but even more than ever, I'm committed in my work. We're going forward and we are connecting to divine, and we're going to reconnect these neurological pathways. We're going to reconnect this chemical flow and untap this chemical flow in a way that literally allows other neurological connections to fall away. When I have, this is the connection of pain from happening. This is the memory of pain. I'm holding my hand behind my head as if this is a neuron, a neurological connection. This is a real connection in my real brain from real pain I really had. I'm not here to tell you didn't have real pain. What I'm here to tell you is that as I start to neglect that with my attention, I no longer really give it much attention. I give it much thought. I do not fuel it and feed it with my energy that matches it. I'm on a totally separate energy, and I'm feeling amazing, and I'm dreaming of my future, and I'm connecting to that future, and I'm feeling that divine in me, and I'm feeling pure love and appreciation. This one starts to starve. The thing in the back of my head, that past, the neurons there start to fall, and they literally starve and fall away. And so when I start looking for that memory now, I'm going to remember it because, it's not Men in Black. I didn't zap your brain, right? I'll remember it. But the emotional charge connected to it is not going to be there. And I'm going to try to make this the last time I quote Joe Dispenza. Oh my goodness, let me try. This is my last time, I think. Okay. But Joe says, a memory without pain is wisdom. So I can now look back at that thing and I know it happened, but that neurological connection that was tied to my emotions is gone. So I can look back and say, wow, that was hurtful. And, I think I got this from my grandmother's, a story I heard. Yeah. And now I have wisdom from what came rather than pain. And so I can move forward even more so without having to go back and dig through that. Because a lot of times we reattach the neurons when we dig, we reattach emotional connections when we dig. And that's just in my field of study what we've found. But all of it is valuable. If you are with a therapist right now digging back, do not stop on account of this, right? As just like Dr. Leona said, this is not replacement for your medical advice. Do what your belief system will allow you to connect with and see progress. You cannot achieve greater than your ability to believe. So if that's where you are, there's no judgment. Add this in where it feels good and keep going in the direction that's going to help you to heal in your way, in your time.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I know like healing takes time. And, going back to that statement I made about, okay, understanding the generational curses, I guess really the point, I guess that didn't come out correctly, is really knowing what's there. I think people need to understand that our issues isn't just something we just woke up with. And some people don't even realize the neurological connection between where they are today and how they just don't have that connection. But if they understand, it could have been implanted at birth, at trauma, it could have been something passed on. If they understand, they don't necessarily have to understand what happened in 1800s, but just knowing that you have a hard time with it because it's been so ingrained. So when you realize that, then you're like, okay, let me
The
start
awareness.
creating that energy of that power and that love and that sound mind, and just really focus on that because we're just so surrounded with fear and more fear and
That's
just
the
stress
training.
and on TV. I mean, stop watching TV. That's the first
Yes.
thing you can do.
Listen, if you take nothing away from today, turn off your TV.
Step one, turn off the TV. Because I used
Oh
to
my
deal with
God.
depression and that healed me overnight. I was like,
Listen.
wow, someone said, "Don't watch TV for a week." I said, "Okay." I'm like, wow, I felt like I was reading. I started writing books, reading.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
amazing how just something, but yeah. So it's like we don't want to sound too woo woo-y, but it used to be woo woo-y to me. But then when I understood, wow, the power of the mind and everything that happens and all the images we're flooded with every day, and these things right here ain't helping. I
Listen,
mean,
the
it's just
phones.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because people need to understand, that's what we are dealing with. So don't think you can pop a pill or wake up one day, read your I like affirmations, but
Oh,
don't think
sure.
just reading one affirmation is going to be enough.
Oh, listen,
Okay?
I have done meditations where affirmations are involved, and the way that I elevate my emotion, open my heart, and tap into that pineal gland. And I do all of this with the background of the science behind it, right? Some people will use more meditation related yogi words, and then people dismiss it like, ah, well, that's not true. It's true. And I just looked into, well, what are the science version of these words, right? So you're calling it like, oh, the seventh chakra. And I'm like, well, in medicine, they're calling it the seventh energy center and it's at the crown, or the sixth energy center, which is the pineal gland. And it's a gland and it's been studied. And I've watched them take it out, and I've watched them, do little studies on it. So there's a scientific component to all of this, even when people are trying to convince you it's woo woo, which that's a whole other podcast, honey, when we start talking about, well, why is the actual thing that can change our lives been sold to us as woo woo? Because that's a whole other hour I
Exactly.
need. Like, why are you so afraid that I think my mind has power? Why do you have to teach me that's woo woo? And then we're against each other, shutting down our power with each other. Like, hey, honey, girl, I think I found my power. I'm going to focus my mind. Woo woo. Like, you just threw my power down the toilet along with yours when we were really onto the right thing. So, flooding your brain with images, if your brain and your heart, your mind and your emotions are what helps you to create the way you think about yourself. Now, listen to me carefully. If the way you are thinking and the way you are feeling create the way you believe in yourself and the way you live your life and the actions you take. You follow me? This is real life now. If that's what happens, and when you sit and flood yourself with television, which is imagery and emotion, they put a lot of psychology into studying how to get you to have the emotion while you're
They're
watching. So
actually
you'll watch
using
it.
woo woo. Yep.
Listen, they're using the woo woo they told you doesn't count, doesn't matter, doesn't
Yep.
exist. And they're using it to keep you in whatever state. So you're not creating anything for yourself. You're just watching this one shoot this one. This one's in a drama. This one's cheating on somebody. Your emotions are high. Ain't nothing going on in your life. You're doing good. You could be over here writing books, creating things, dreaming up a future for yourself, following the path that's getting laid out for you from divine. But instead, you over here wondering about who doing what to who. Your emotions are high. You turn off that TV and you're like
Yeah, who won the
tingling.
fight?
I'm so mad. I'm so mad because she didn't do. You mad at who?
Yeah.
The character? Like, your internal environment is responding as if that's your life, because your internal environment doesn't care where. I just told my kids this today. I have two children. I'm at homeschool, and we were standing up today, and I was like by the kitchen, and I'm like, okay, here's your spiritual studies lesson for today, just a casual chat. But I want you to understand that once something gets inside and you're letting it affect your body, your brain and your heart don't care where this information came from. All they know is it's inside, and now it affects this little universe that is you. So if it's inside, it's ours. We got to deal with it. It doesn't matter. Well, he said this. It doesn't matter. She said that. It doesn't matter. It was fake. Doesn't matter. It was real. Doesn't matter. When it gets in your brain, if it has struck up an image, a detailed image, and it struck up some emotion, you are now recording memories and creating connections in your brain. That's how the body works. So how who sent the image doesn't matter. I got an image, I got an emotion, connect it, we're recording. And so I love affirmations and I love being in control of my own mind and my own heart. So every now and then I'm with y'all. Listen, I have my human moments. I'll watch a little one
Yeah,
or
we
two
all
things,
do.
but I feel them a little too much. And now that I know what's going on, I can't enjoy the show. So as soon
Yeah.
as too much drama goes on, I'm like, oh no, spirit. No, we don't need
Oh,
this.
you're
Like,
right. I'm glad you brought that up. I was gonna say something about that. It's like if it make you feel a certain kind of way, it's like
bye,
nah. Because after a
bye.
while, it's like your energy doesn't match. I don't like going to certain places anymore. I don't like eating certain food anymore. I mean,
Listen,
it's
listen.
incredible how that
It
works.
really is. It really is. And I think sometimes we journey like through that. I feel like there's moments where we're like, okay, this doesn't match my energy, so I can't be there, and we're almost like withdrawing ourselves. But then there's other times where we get even stronger that we just don't even attract those things at all anymore. Like we're a magnet for the things that match us. And so we don't find ourselves in situations where, okay, I wish I wasn't here and I don't like this, I don't want to be here. I definitely went through that phase, but I studied, I meditate probably about 2 to 3 times a day now. Sometimes it's an hour and a half meditation, usually in the morning, about an hour at night, maybe 40 minutes to an hour at night. And in the day, I take my little 20, 30-minute snack, as I call it, right? And so my vibration is really high. I've studied the field around the human body. So I have an awareness that the field around my body is high. I have an awareness. We have a north and south pole in the body. So we're like magnets, right? Y'all don't get lost in the details. Just you get the big picture stuff. Like we're like magnets when we are on a good vibration and resonating on love and thankfulness and good visions and dreams and hopes and powerful stuff. We become magnets, like literally measurable. And so when I'm there, I just have a knowing I can't pull that in my life because I'm literally not on that frequency. I tell people, imagine this. If you're taking notes, write this down. I tell people, or try to draw it out, even if it's a horrible drawing, it's fine. I draw this out when I'm doing a session, and I say, okay, imagine there's 3 layers. So I have like the under the ocean, on land, and in the air. So there's like 3 rectangles going on top of each other. And I say, imagine that, just for the imagination, that there was like 3 levels of vibration. There's infinite, but just for this conversation, let's say there's 3. 3 would be under the ocean. You can use blue or right ocean, or draw like a shark under there. Draw like a big ocean animal you would not want to interact with under there. Okay. And then on the land, you can maybe put flowers or something on the second row, put number 2 and put some flowers or a house or whatever you'd see on land. And then for number 3, draw like clouds or birds or maybe the top of a rainbow or whatnot, and put that for number 1. Excuse me if I said 3. So that's 1 up in the air. So you got 1 in the air, 2 on land, 3 underwater.
Well, you
Now,
need
if
more than that, but yeah.
you got it. Sorry, did I say it wrong? Did I say it?
Well, you
One.
started with the ocean is 1, and then
Oh,
land is 2, clouds are 3. For
my
the people
bad.
taking notes, I'm just trying to help you out.
Play that back. Play that back. I think I said 3. Just kidding. I'm sorry, you guys. So 3 is the bottom, 3 is the water, 2 is
No,
land,
1 is
1 is
the
the sky.
ocean, 2 is the land, 3 is the clouds.
No, I'm telling you, 3 is the ocean.
Oh, okay, my
Yeah, I'm
bad.
sorry. 3 is it's 3, 2, 1, right? So 1 is the sky,
Got
2
it.
is the land, and 3. Okay, now we got it, y'all. It's okay. We're doing audio. That's good. We're good. We're doing great. So imagine that you are. Let's just and now I love the ocean, so don't take it personally. But let's just for this conversation say that level 3, which is the ocean on the bottom, is a low vibration. And that's where we are vibing. We are just feeling like, we're just there. We're thinking about those thoughts. We're feeling those thoughts. We're at a 3. Sometimes I'll draw like a little stick figure outside by the 3, like by the ocean. And then here's what happens. We say to ourselves, I don't want to be here. I don't like being under the ocean. I want to be up in the sky. But I don't like this and I don't like that. And I don't want to be here and I don't want to be here and I don't want to be here. But all of your energy, all of your thoughts, all of your focus is on right where you are. And so you can't get any higher than that vibe because that's where you are. And because you're vibing on what you don't like and what you don't want, and you don't want to see these sea creatures, and now you hate sharks and you hate swimming and you hate the water and you don't want to be here, all that is coming out of your vibration is a match to that exactly where you are. So now you bump into a shark and you're mad. I can't stand when I attract these people. These people are attracted to me. I don't know why they keep coming in my life. You're at a 3. You're on the resonance with them. You're going to bump into them. So now your goal is to raise your vibration from 3 up to 2. And up to 2 now, you're going to be able to, how do you do that? You're going to have to set your eyes on what you do want in your life. You're going to have to set your intention and your heart. What does 2 feel like? So hear me clearly. You have to be able to be sitting on the bottom of 3, but resonating your heart and your mind, your thoughts and your emotions on life at 2. Life at 1. You have to be able to, almost like you're tossing out a lifeline up to where you want, and you're trying to hook onto it. And you hook onto it by thinking to the level of that, feeling to the level of that. So now you've got to be there under the ocean with the shark bumping into you, saying to yourself, I love the thought of flowers. I just love the thought of the fresh air. I could feel it on my skin. Ooh, I can smell the dandelions. I can smell cookies coming from that house. You got to be able to immerse yourself in a full immersion. They call it in psychology, and they call it mental imagery. And mental imagery is where you literally get this vision of what you want, but you have to elevate the emotions to match it. So here we go again, y'all. Thoughts and feelings, thoughts and feelings. It's everything is coming back to this. And so when you do that and you're resonating on that level with thoughts and feelings and the flower, it's like your vibe just raises right up. You become that magnet. You shift from out of 3 and up into 2. And now all of a sudden, someone brings you a flower and you got a cookie and you feel like going for a run all of a sudden and there's dirt and you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? You raised your vibration. So you're experiencing something. I haven't bumped into a shark in a minute. You're not down there. You're not going to bump into a shark, honey. You're not down there. You have adjusted your thoughts and your feelings, and it's impacting your self-esteem, and it's impacting your personal reality, and it's also impacting your personality, because you're no longer talking and acting and thinking and feeling like grumpy under number 3. You've been dreaming up flowers and cookies, so your attitude has changed. And when your attitude changes and you keep it for a long time, it's a personality. So your personality has changed and your reality has changed. And then you want to go higher. So there, with a flower and a cookie in your hand, you start dreaming about the clouds. Like, oh, it's going to feel so amazing to fly through the clouds. It's going to be a little cool. It's going to be a little wet. Oh, I can hear the birds landing on my head. Like, whatever it is, right? I'm on the top of the rainbow. I can see the top. It's so beautiful. And you feel like you're light. All of a sudden, you feel like you're floating out of the chair right there on land with a flower in your hand and a cookie in your mouth. But you're feeling like you're floating. You feel it. And you're enjoying it. You're, man, the sky's so blue and the sun's so bright, and you get so immersed in it that you're already living it in your mind, even though physically you're still at 2. And what has to happen, and there's a lot more science behind this, we don't have time for it today, but what then happens is that the vibration raises again. So now here you are from 2 up to 1. But you lived it in your head before you ever got there. You lived it in your mind before you physically got a higher vibration. That's going to work for your weight loss. You start living in your slim body before you even lose a pound. You have no choice but to raise the vibration and lose all the pounds. You start living there before you get there, because that's how you regulate your thoughts and your emotions internally, calibrating on the internal environment. Even when you looked out and you saw sharks, you went inside and you saw flowers and cookies. And then when you were done, you got to the flowers and cookies and you looked out and saw flowers and cookies, you went into the internal environment and you saw the clouds in the sky. And that's how we live. That's how big dreamers are making their goals. You have to immerse yourself. But every time you look back, every time you're on land with the cookie and the thing, you're like, wow, I don't know how I made it, because I used to be with the shark and all those sharks, and I used to be with the shark and I hated those sharks and I can't stand the sharks, and I remember the trauma from my sharks and my trauma and my sharks and my time in vibration 3. You're gone. You're going right back, baby. You're going right back down, because that's where all your attention is, and where your attention goes, your energy flows, and that is where you're going to end up in your personality, in your personal reality, and in your self-esteem. That's a whole
I
lesson.
love that. Woo! I love that. I know people are like, where do you get this energy from? That's what happens. We're out in the ocean. We're in the
Exactly.
clouds. But yeah, people be like, they
I
just
love
can't
that.
let it go. Like they'll get a
100%.
chance, they'll get a peek on
Mm.
being out the level. And sometimes it's with a coach or something. We'll pull them out and
Yep.
we got them on land.
Yep.
And they'll be like, what the shark doing though? You know, they'll go look
Yeah.
and call in.
I'm like, no, don't worry about it. Mind your business. Mind your business.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You might have to let some people go in this
Yes.
process, but
Yes.
people want to still hang out, on the weekends with their
Okay.
sharks.
Well,
And I'm
if
like,
you
nah,
get bitten, I mean, we know what's up.
yeah,
At least now you have the knowledge that precedes understanding. So even if, yeah, I'll say it this way, you will never be able to turn back to those sharks and things. If you're listening and tuning in and you really followed that and felt that, if this became an experience for you, which means your brain recorded it and your brain is like, wow, that is something, and you've got a visual, then you will never again be able to turn back the same way. You may still turn back. You may still look back emotionally and mentally and all that, but when you, or go back to the old ocean setting when you want to be in the sky, but you will never do that without being
you
aware
won't
ever
stay
again.
long. You'll be in there, but you're gonna be like, okay, I'm good. See y'all later.
Yeah,
But you gotta
y'all
be
gonna be mad at us.
strong. When
They're
you're in
gonna be
that
like, oh
journey,
man.
you have to wait. Yeah, but that's like advanced. That's part 2. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is a perfect analogy. But that's what people have to understand, what it really takes. And then they think, oh my goodness. Yeah, that was good. I love that. And the energy you shared with, I'm like, we a lot alike. Because I start talking to Peach, I get all animated, and I'm like, you're my
so
people.
so
But
good. 100%. We attracted each other, girl. We're in the sky. We're two birds that
I
all the way up at
know.
level 1 found each other.
Exactly. We're in the sky. This is what it's like. But
Beautiful.
man, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, did we cover everything?
I mean,
This
there's
was
always more, but
good.
I
This
think for
was
today, for everyone to
good.
absorb that.
Yeah, that's a lot to absorb. So let's
Yeah.
just kind of summarize, really we got to understand what self-esteem is, where
Yeah.
we're at. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to say before we move on. I had a note. I didn't want to interrupt because I was into this ocean story. But I was thinking again, when I'm listening, I always go into my mind and this is what popped up. And I have two boys. And knowing this, I had been through my journey raising kids. So I'm just glad it's a difference. It's like, wow, they go through less because of what we know in raising our children. But I remember as a kid, we're thinking about the sky, and I'm thinking about when we were in that space, the clouds were pink and the people were
Yes.
blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just the sky was orange. I mean,
Yes.
it was just it didn't matter. But it's like sometimes with us, we'll be like, "That's not right." Da 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 da. So sometimes we got to allow that creativity, and sometimes between childhood and adulthood, those dreams, that vision of the sky and the land and the flowers get squashed, and we're just
Mhm.
pushed to be a shark, shark, shark. So it's like the world doesn't want to know that the land and the clouds
Yes.
exist. Yeah.
Oh, so well
Yeah.
said. You gave me chills.
So
Well, and that's our job, and that's where we come in. That's
exactly.
where that's where brilliant
Yeah.
people like you. Thank you for the gift of having this podcast, because this is where we put this information out there, and those who are seeking, even though they've been pushed, that little ember of curiosity never goes out. We may ignore it for years, we may get lost completely, but that little ember of curiosity never goes out. So as long as there are people like you creating these podcast platforms and people like me studying and following along divine flow, and we come together, we create content and information that will last, God willing, forever. So all of those future seekers who may have been pushed out of the pink sky, and the purple clouds, and pushed down to the ocean, that when they peek their head up and they get a little moment, right, even if it's just a little peak on land, that in that peak they can find these resources that will help them to make a more permanent journey to higher levels of self. And so I just want to take a second to thank you for even creating this platform, because that is going to be freedom for those people we're talking about, and many of us along the way. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. Very powerful conversation. I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it very much. And thank you. And any closing comments, how the listeners can reach you? And I mean, I know they're going to want to know more and meet you and all that good stuff. So where can they find you?
First of all, thank you guys also for listening without an audience. The conversations, it still would have been juicy. I'm not gonna lie. This is a good conversation, but it's even better knowing that you were there, fueling it along with your own interests and questions, and we're all matching vibration. So thank you. I am known as the Self-Esteem Doctor everywhere. So if you go Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, just look up the Self-Esteem Doctor. I'm there. In most cases, you can find me at Dr. Simone Alicia also, but the Self-Esteem Doctor is the easiest. And I do have a website. I've got tons of free resources, YouTube series, free libraries in my academy. I come out and do talks. So any little way you can think of, how can I get this? I probably have something there for you. So visit the selfesteemdoctor.com, all spelled out, the selfesteemdoctor.com, and just connect, say hi, let me know you heard me here, and we can just continue to build and make sure you have all the resources that you need. This was absolutely amazing. And just remember, your thoughts, they do matter. And when you get really, really deep into it, those thoughts matter means those thoughts become matter. They become material. They actually become a part of what you live. So what was once invisible in the mind becomes visible for the body. And you want to be able to use your words to pluck from the invisible and create visible. What do you want to pluck? Do you want to pluck more pain and hardship, or do you want to pluck love for self, love for others, exploration, elevation, and the journey from these lower vibrations up into these higher frequencies of love and power, where we can really play and have as much fun as we did today, because this is a high vibration conversation, no
Yes,
doubt.
it was. Yes, it
No.
was. There you have it, y'all. You heard it from Dr. Simone. Oh my goodness. Immerse yourself. The information is there. I mean, even if you get a little peek, you believe that you can have it all. You just got to immerse yourself and strengthen your mind, renew your mind. It is possible. The clouds is an amazing place to be.
Yes.
So, I mean, so come
Join
join us
us.
in the clouds
Yeah.
and just join the conversation. Cannot wait to hear what everybody thinks of this. And thank you so, so, so much, Dr. Simone. I enjoyed this. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate it.
All right, listeners, we are going to close another amazing episode. This is one you got to listen to more than once and share with your daughters, your brothers, your sons. Share this episode. And until next time, go out there and achieve more freedom in your health and your life. Take care. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, seal the deal to heal by leaving a review, subscribing to the podcast, and sharing with a friend. Thanks again, and we'll continue the journey next week.